Hey everybody, Monty. We're on Thursday, okay, November 19th, and we're working on quadrilaterals. Okay, the other day we got together and we talked about bisect, diagonals, consecutive, supplementary, complementary, and opposite angles. Wow, all the vocab in this class. Sheesh. So we know how to cut things in half, whoosh, with a diagonal, consecutive in a row, supplementary, two angles that add to 180 degrees, and then the idea of complementary angles, two angles that add to 90. Okay, and then we spent the rest of the class discussing this chart, okay, characteristics, okay, the properties and characteristics of quadrilaterals. And it took quite a while to sketch them, put the diagonals in, and answer all these specific questions about each of the shapes that we need to know in geometry. Okay, so hopefully you got it done. If you haven't, that's okay, because today we're going to continue the process. But now we want to use these properties to help us solve for unknowns, the variables. All right, so let's get started. Step one. Think about the shape. Think about the shape. Step two, recognize what properties the shape has, then find the measure. Okay, so let's look at problem one. First thing we got to do is figure out what is it? What type of a shape is it? Well, we've got all these numbers in here, and there's, well, this one is like this. Wait a minute. That one is like that one. Okay. Opposite angles are equal, but can we say this is equal to this? What if we just said this is a quadrilateral? Okay, it's a quadrilateral. How many degrees in a quadrilateral? All four-sided objects. Remember the rectangle? 90, 90, 90, 90. A square, 90, 90, 90, 90. What's 4 times 90? 360 degrees. Well, that 360 degrees is made up of angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and the unknown. So let's just do the math. 70 plus 115 plus 70 plus the unknown. Okay? Well, we know how to combine all these. Draw a little line. We got 70 and 70 is 140, 255. And we still got an equals, we still got our 360, and we have our unknown. Okay? Well, what's the opposite of a plus? Minus. Subtract the 255 from each side. And our unknown turns out to be 105 degrees. 105. Cool? It was a quadrilateral. Okay, let's go to number two. Now, number two to me sure looks like a rectangle. So let's just write that. This is a rectangle. Okay, and we're going to assume $90 degrees. But again, we could do the math. All four-sided objects are 360, and we got a 90, and a 90, and a 90. So 360 equals 90 plus 90 plus 90 plus the question mark. Draw our line. 360 is equal to, add the 390s and we get 270, and the question mark. Again, what's the opposite of a plus? Minus. Okay, subtract that across, giving us 90 degrees. Okay, let's move on. All right. Now we're going to complicate it a little bit. This time it says x times 10. Well, I know that it must be a rectangle. Okay, and if it's a rectangle, then these all must be 90. These all must be 90. So don't let the math bother you. This corner is 90 degrees, but it's 10 times the variable x. Okay, well, we know how to solve this. What's the opposite of multiply? The opposite of multiply is divide. Divide both sides by 10, and x equals 9. Okay, so now we're getting back to that math stuff, huh? Yeah. All right, let's move on. Okay, now we're going to make an assumption. Okay, we're going to call this a rhombus. Okay, we're going to call this a diamond. And if we need to, we look back at our chart and we have the rhombus, and we know that the opposite angles are congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. Okay, well, if opposite angles are congruent, 80 equals 80, 10, 100 must equal 20x. So 100 equals 20 times x. Well, what does x have to be? 20 times what number gives you 100? What's the opposite of multiply? Good. Divide. So 5 equals x. All right. Okay, let's go on. Now we have a parallelogram. My head is in the way. Actually, you know what I could do? I could extend the page. All right. So, again, we think of our properties of a parallelogram. Okay. What are the properties of a parallelogram? Okay. And we know that the opposite angles are equal. So 9x plus 6 equals 60. Reverse PEMDAS. The opposite of a plus is a minus. And we'll get 9x. We still have the equals. 60 minus 6, 54. Okay. The opposite of multiply, divide. We want to get x by itself. All right, let's do one more. Looks like a rectangle. Now, there's lots of ways to do this. Okay, looks like a rectangle, so we can assume they're all 90. But I want to use a special property. It talked about consecutive angles are supplementary. In a rectangle, consecutive angles are supplementary. So we don't have to do it this way, but that's the way I would like you to think about it. Okay? It is a parallelogram, so we know that 180 equals 90 plus 8x minus 6. Okay, well, just a math problem now. Okay, put the 90 and the minus 6 together. So an equals, was that 84? Plus the 8x. Okay, what's the opposite of plus? We got to move that 84. And what do we get? 696. We still have an equals. 84's went to 0. What's the opposite of multiply? Okay, if you have to, grab a calculator. All right. So this is what we did in class today. We talked about the properties so that we could make sense mathematically with the shapes. Okay. If you need help, we'll make another video for the actual practice, which is the next 2 pages. Using our properties, can we calculate the unknowns? See you soon.